The Mandalika massacre. A savage cross-examination of the 2025 Indonesian MotoGP where champions bled, rookies rose, and destiny laughed in everyone's face. The track smelled of fire before the lights even went out. Mandalika was not a circuit today. It was a crime scene waiting for witnesses. Bezzecchi, the man who had broken the sprint with a resurrection from 8th to 1st, carried the swagger of prophecy. 2 seconds behind Fermin Aldeguer with 3 laps left, he had carved reality like glass, sliding his Aprilia into history. And yet, just 24 hours later, the same rider misfired like a cursed gun, launched himself into Márquez at 200 kilometers per hour, and turned the race into a hospital file. Marc's right shoulder, once rebuilt by steel and pain, hung dead. Terdazzi whispered, "Fracture." Ducati's Messiah looked like a man caught between legacy and hell. Bezzecchi would taste penalties, not champagne. And into the vacuum stepped a 20-year-old Fermin Aldeguer, riding the year-old Gresini Ducati GP24, a machine dismissed as outdated scrap. He didn't just win, he dismantled the grid by 8 seconds. But beneath the fireworks of a rookie coronation lies rot. Why did Ducati's factory arms drown while their discard triumphed? Why do champions fall like flies while corporate pawns rise untouched? This wasn't a race, it was a public execution. The whispers started long before Mandalika. Bezzecchi was the one being painted as the savior of Italian muscle, pole-sitter, sprint conqueror, the man riding Aprilia's rebellion against the Red Empire. They called him the breaker of Ducati monopoly, the one who dared bleed himself for pace no one else could touch. But prophecy always comes with betrayal hiding in its sleeve. Factories came here desperate. Ducati, despite Márquez's 2025 coronation already secured, were watching their empire crumble from within. Pecco was spiraling, crashing from last row to nowhere, a double world champion turned ghost. VR46? Half in rebellion, half in denial. Ducati's so-called army looked less like an empire, more like a family in court, each brother suing the other for inheritance. Aprilia smelled blood. They sent Bezzecchi with orders to humiliate Bologna's fortress. He responded with a sprint for the ages, outbreaking Fermin at the death, showing that the future wasn't corporate but chaotic. His rise was a knife to Ducati's throat, but knives have a way of cutting the hands that wield them. KTM rolled in with Pedro Acosta, the golden boy. The 20-year-old already carried the weight of future champions stitched into his spine. Every overtaking line he carved was already a marketing slide for sponsors. But KTM's politics are poison. Pit walls whispering tire gambles, corporate hands strangling natural instinct. Pedro came with medium fronts and rears, a choice that could either immortalize him or drown him. And then came the rookies, the blood Gigi Dall'Igna had been planting like seeds. Fermin Aldeguer, Alex Márquez, Raúl Fernandez, discarded tools turned into sharp blades. Ducati claimed the GP25 was the weapon, yet here stood the GP24, old and obsolete, suddenly alive and lethal. Predictions were dirt. Every journalist spun the same narrative, Bezzecchi versus Márquez, old king versus new prince. But destiny doesn't follow scripts. It rips them up and feeds them to the fire. Lights out. Mandalika's sky turned into smoke. Fermin Aldeguer launched like a bullet, stealing the whole shot before anyone blinked. Bezzecchi, cursed at the start yet again, fumbled. 7th place by turn 7. The sprint hero suddenly looked mortal. Then came the hit. Bezzecchi, desperate to claw back, misjudged the slipstream into Márquez. The two collided like warheads. Airborne chaos, bodies, carbon, and dreams scattered. Bezzecchi stood up shaking, Márquez clutching his right arm, the very limb that nearly ended his career in 2020. The grid froze. Every champion on the asphalt, Ducati's golden ticket fractured, Aprilia's spear snapped. The so-called gods of this war erased in one breath. From that wreckage rose a rookie. Aldeguer set fire to the lap chart, stretching 3 seconds, then 5, then 8. The GP24 was not obsolete, it was untouchable. The irony was savage. Ducati's past was faster than their million-dollar future. Behind him, war raged. Acosta and Marini sliced each other like knives in a prison yard. Marini cracked first, wide into the gravel, dropping to 8th. Acosta stayed standing, but his mediums were bleeding. He held second. the image of grit but not glory. Rins, the eternal gambler, burned his rubber until smoke replaced grip. Second place slipped into last. His ride was not racing, it was self-immolation. Alex Márquez, the shadow brother, crept into the light, calm, precise, relentless. He snatched third, a podium that whispered rebellion. Mark may bleed, but I remain. By lap 14, the war zone had shrunk to 14 survivors. Aldeguer was gone, a ghost in front. 8 seconds clear, unchallenged, unshaken. The rest fought like scavengers over scraps. Each overtake felt less like racing, more like betrayal. Who slipped the wrong tire call? Who engineered the chaos? Who profited from the giants falling? Mandalika wasn't a race. It was evidence in a trial none of these riders would escape. Collapse isn't just a crash, it's psychological dissection. Marc Márquez collapsed on impact, not in courage, but in flesh. His shoulder whispered betrayal, the same body that once made him untouchable, now conspiring to end him. He flew home to Spain, not as a champion, but as a patient once again. How many fractures can destiny allow one man before it becomes cruelty, not competition? Bezzecchi collapsed in arrogance. Sprint hero one day, villain the next. His desperate dive into Márquez looked less like hunger, more like madness. He turned from Aprilia's spear to a liability. Penalties await. Glory evaporated. His curse at race starts isn't a stat anymore. It's a prophecy of failure. Pecco collapsed invisibly. From last row to dirt, crashing alone. No contact, no sabotage, just emptiness. The man who once strangled MotoGP into submission looked like he didn't even belong in the same grid. 7 days ago, he was sprinting into hope. Today, he is sprinting into irrelevance. Ducati's factory jewel is now their rusted chain. Ducati's civil war is not fought in garages, it is fought in hospitals. Factories collapsed in silence. Ducati hid behind scripted statements. Aprilia avoided eye contact. KTM smiled for cameras while bleeding Acosta's tires into smoke. Honda? They were irrelevant, their riders scattered, their legacy now a joke. But amidst all this collapse, Aldeguer rose. Too easily, too perfectly. 8 seconds clear in a rookie debut doesn't smell like destiny, it smells like orchestration. Was it pure talent, or did the factories let him run while their champions burned? A convenient coronation for Ducati's next pawn, or a real uprising? When everyone collapses, suspicion rises. Strip away the smoke. Look coldly at Mandalika. Fermin Aldeguer didn't just win, he embarrassed legends. 20 years old, second youngest winner in MotoGP history. 8 seconds of daylight between him and Pedro Acosta, the golden boy. He made the GP24, the obsolete Ducati, look like a rocket, while the GP25 looked like a coffin. So the question, is Ducati sabotaging themselves? The GP25 was supposed to be the masterpiece, yet it drowns champions. Mark is broken. Meanwhile, the discard bikes at Gresini thrive. Alex Márquez podium. Aldeguer domination. The hierarchy is upside down. Is it incompetence or corporate theater? Bezzecchi's story is another blade. How does a man go from sprint miracle to Sunday criminal in 24 hours? Did Aprilia overload him, or did destiny demand balance? A pole to 8th to win sprint was mythic. A race day crash into Márquez was pathetic. Suspicion whispers, was this just a scripted fall to give space for Aldeguer's coronation? Acosta's gamble exposed KTM's soul. Mediums were the wrong call, but he still dragged the corpse of grip into second place. The question isn't, how good is Pedro? It's how long before KTM strangles him like they did with every young prodigy before. Factories bleed truth when you push them. Ducati pretends they're unified, but Mandalika revealed their split veins. Their star riders broken, their rookies winning. Aprilia pretend they're rebels, but Bezzecchi's curse proves they're not immune to politics. KTM sells a future, but sacrifices their present. Honda doesn't even deserve analysis. They are shadows of their own ghost. So what really happened in Mandalika? Was it just racing chaos or a corporate script designed to shuffle the deck? Was Aldeguer's win destiny or manipulation? Was Márquez's fracture fate or convenience? MotoGP sells speed, but what it really trades is suspicion. At Mandalika, champions fell, rookies rose, bones cracked, empires drowned. Fermin Aldeguer stood on the podium like a messiah. Pedro Acosta forced a smile. Alex Márquez stared into the cameras with quiet rebellion. Behind them, Mark flew home broken. Bezzecchi faced penalties. Pecco drowned in anonymity. 8 seconds separated the winner from the grid. 8 seconds that might as well be eternity. So tell me, was Mandalika a race or a setup? The ghosts of MotoGP don't answer, they just laugh.